Hello everyone, I'm Kat.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Robbie.
And welcome to The Film Strip, a movie review podcast where we analyze and discuss a new movie each episode. Forewarned, there are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, go check it out. Today's episode, we are talking about The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. The Shining is about a family hired to take care of the Overlook Hotel for the upcoming winter. Soon after they arrive, a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific visions of the hotel's grim past and future.
Hi.
Hello. Catherine.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay, I'm good. So
we
first
watched
impressions.
We watched The Shining since last episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
First impressions.
It's not. Oh,
For Kat though.
for
Yeah,
Kat, it is her very first
Yes, very
impressions.
I have never seen The Shining,
Yes.
but I've seen, with pop culture, it's like a huge movie. You see like bits and pieces, and
Yeah.
sometimes the endings are spoiled and stuff like that because it's obviously been out so long.
Did you see without getting into because we'll get there, but did you have the ending spoiled to you beforehand?
I did. I knew how Jack's character. I knew his fate, but I didn't know.
Fate. Yeah.
I didn't know like Shelley Duvall and
Right.
the little kid Danny. I didn't know what happened to them.
Right.
And I
Okay.
didn't know like any other characters that were in the movie. So
Okay.
I didn't know what would happen to them and stuff like that.
Should we give some? I guess we should give some context and background.
Yeah.
for
So
this.
for those who haven't seen it before,
Like me.
yes,
like
for people
Kat,
like
yeah.
Kat, yeah.
yeah, that live under a rock. So what's the context?
I mean, basically, this was filmed in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Filmed
the year
79, released 80.
1980.
Something like that,
yeah.
But the whole like focus is before that, right? It's like in the what time period is that in?
20s. Or
Well,
what are you
part
talking
of it,
about?
part of it is a
part of
story.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the whole film.
Yeah, it brings up stuff from like I think it was talking about earlier in the 70s was
Right.
when the first family went there, and then you see Jack kind of go back to like the 20s.
Yeah, later on in the movie, it's supposed to be like a mystery thriller type movie.
Yeah, psychological
which it
horror.
certainly was.
Yeah.
And some context of this, I mean, this was based off of Stephen King's The Shining, like his actual book that he
His
published,
novel,
His novel.
yeah.
I don't know how accurate because I actually never read The Shining.
I've never read it either.
But from
Yeah.
the sounds of it, from what I've heard, is it wasn't exactly like the book, and then also Stephen King himself wasn't too keen on the movie.
Yeah.
And so I could say a little bit about that. So
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson, who plays the main character, Jack Torrance, him and Cheryl Duvall, who plays Wendy, Shelley Duvall. Sorry, excuse me. They both have like openly come out and like have shown like resentment towards, well, mostly towards Stanley Kubrick, the director, because Jack says that like he feels that the critics and just the audience overall gave more credit to him than they did anyone else. Mm-hmm. So like he also talked about like how for him this was like one of his hardest roles he's ever played, and he spoke on behalf of Duvall as well, saying that it was also like very hard for her to play as well.
I saw some like behind the scenes footage off of YouTube, and like seeing the way like Kubrick interacted with Duvall and Nicholson, it was pretty intense, it seemed at times. And from the editor, it says, or one of the editors were talking about like they would film scenes like dozens of times, sometimes like triple digits,
just
like
to get that
tons of times to get like them
that reaction,
that
to
Kubrick
push them
wanted.
further and stuff. But I know like after a few times you really do start to go mad, so that probably put like a lot of emotional
it's
stress on
aggravating.
them,
I think it's
mental
aggravating
stress.
definitely for the actors. I'll play devil's advocate here. Probably for the movie, it really got some genuine like intense. Because like, I mean,
Oh yeah,
some
genuine
of the performances
aggression.
in this
Some of it,
movie
pays off.
were very, very like chilling,
Yeah.
especially Jax. I was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
Push them,
Crazy.
you get like real.
it seems so real. Like
I know,
so
it's
so
wild.
genuinely
Yeah.
like that's what he was actually feeling.
Yeah, because after a while, you do start to go mad
so
at yourself.
I'm sure being in that position, you would probably very much dislike
And-
the director's methods.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true or not.
Ooh.
But I've heard that like to get Jack Nicholson like agitated, Kubrick actually only fed him like cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks, which he hates. Like which is crazy.
Oh my God.
Like if that's real.
I would
So-
hate that. Cheese sandwiches?
Here's your cheese sandwich.
Here's your cheese
You go to
sandwich.
Fire Festival.
No, action. Right. Oh, God. We don't even get to that.
Yeah.
But that, oh, man. Poor Shelley Duvall. I feel like
Oh, I feel like she really
She's-
got the
Losing hair,
But-
strands of hair. Like that's how much stress she was under.
yes. I wouldn't be surprised if they had to be checked into some sort of medical
Yeah.
attention after that.
Yeah.
Unlike, however, I think I've heard, I'm not sure entirely where I read this, so don't quote me on it, but I think Danny, the little boy, it was a lot different for him, right? I think Kubrick actually was, unless I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
Kubrick, I think, kind of was like telling Danny that it's just a family movie. It's nothing
so
scary, so you can kind of.
Kubrick was very protective of Danny.
Yeah.
Because he knew that this was Danny Lloyd's like first acting
Oh wow!
role ever.
What a movie to start with.
Yeah, right. So, he told Danny that the movie was a drama. Like that's it. He didn't know that he was actually in a horror film. And talking about like one of the specific scenes where Wendy comes in because Jack is like, I guess having a nightmare or whatever, and he's like yelling,
Yeah.
and she goes to check on him, and then when Danny comes in and she sees like the marks on his neck, and then she like carries him off.
Right.
That actually that was a dummy, a life-size dummy, because Kubrick didn't want to put Danny in the middle of that actual like them actually screaming. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. That's how far he went to.
Well, at least he's nice to the kid.
Yeah.
Or at least. Oh my goodness.
Adults and like mental stress.
And so Danny Lloyd actually didn't see the uncut version until he was 17.
Wow.
So that's like 11 years later.
I mean, I
After.
imagine as a kid, you can't really grasp the whole like
Yeah.
concept
the
of that you just
idea.
did a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, imagine like watching, like being in that position and seeing yourself in that movie.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
Danny, the character. Like, I think out of all the characters in the movie, I think Danny, the character itself, sees more of the carnage of the hotel than than Jack.
Yeah.
Because he
has The Shining.
the Shining. Yeah.
That's what
What's his face?
what's his character's name?
Dick Halloran. I
yeah,
believe
Dick
that he's the
Halloran.
chef over at Overlook Hotel.
He's the one that mentions this thing called The Shining
right
to Danny.
because like what his grandma told him about it. That
He's
certain
like,
people in the world.
you're someone like me.
Yeah,
like,
that's
They were
Yeah.
able to communicate
And they get
with
what-
their heads.
I-
with their
I guess-
minds.
telepathically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for. Like, I think that whole scene about Danny, or I guess Dick talking to Doc, as he says in the movie.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of like an intense scene because it's kind of like this poor kid doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
He's eating ice cream, and as far as he knows,
He just has his little friend.
he's just
Tony.
talking to Tony because Tony's like
that
He
lives in
thinks-
his
The Shining.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony is this like now is like this we understand that it's like this shining
He's personified the Shining into like
into an imaginary friend.
imaginary friend.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, when he is like talking as he is like Tony,
Mrs.
and he
Torrance.
Mrs. Torrance, and
yeah.
he's like moving his his
little
finger.
finger, yeah.
That idea actually came from him because in his that's what he did, like just spontaneously.
Danny, the actor?
The actor. It came from him spontaneously when he was like auditioning, and I guess Kubrick was like, "That's
It's like a
good
kid.
idea."
It's like a thing that a little kid does.
So it's
that
so
is-
natural
yeah,
that
it
it
is
came
very
from him.
natural.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
That is neat. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
Fun fact.
I was
what
gonna
were you gonna
say, like in that scene, like Dick, the character Dick is like explaining like that the hotel also has like this shining.
Yes.
And that goes into like deeper themes that we can get into like after our first impressions and stuff.
Right. I mean, so as far as first impressions go, I've seen this film already, but I saw it when I was like much younger, and I don't think until now when we just saw it that I was able to pick up on some things and appreciate it as like a really classic. It's a really testament to thrillers and horrors and all that stuff, and of course you can't really go wrong with like a Stephen King story. I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah,
A lot
definitely.
of things were changed, but the film itself is like really remarkably like beautiful and stuff. Like,
Yeah. So let's. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think I can't say much about my first impression because I also have seen it before, but I definitely didn't understand it really till now, the whole idea of The Shining. So like that,
Yeah.
I feel like I was kind of left with more questions than answers, but because I'm like really interested, because there's a lot more to the story than it like leaves you.
We definitely got to consider reading the book now. But,
same.
But, I bet it's different though, because
it's very different.
that's what I've heard from other people.
Yeah, and
Did we want to go?
for as thrillers go? Like I'm not a scary movie type person at all.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I very
you
much do
do
not
not-
like
you do not like
watching
scary
anything
movies.
scary. But I really love this film. Like, and I would totally watch it again.
I think it's something different from like today's jump
Definitely.
scares and
Or like just
Like,
gore.
it's
Yeah.
gore and like
Gore's cool.
it is cool, but it's as long as it's like tasteful, right?
But this is,
Go
exactly.
without it.
But I
well,
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
you can.
that's-
You
I
can,
like,
yeah.
I mean, there's people that like being creeped out.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I like being like the idea of being uncomfortable and like thinking about like these different situations.
Right, as long as it's relevant to the movie and it adds to it, then because like a lot of films, like nowadays, I think it's gotten out of hand. There's just like, what is the purpose of this? But like, something I really liked was it just made it more mysterious. Like the visions that Danny had, especially the like, I don't even know, gallons of blood like coming out of the elevator.
Yeah.
That was a cool shot. Let's just talk about the cinematography. Let's get into a little bit more of Kubrick's kind of artwork with this film. Like that was, to me, kind of like when you think of at least for me, like when I think about the movie The Shining, I think about that particular shot of the blood rushing out of the elevator and then like consuming the camera really, because it turns red.
Dude, I think that shot is really cool.
I love it.
I think that's like the coolest shot out of the whole movie for me.
Yeah,
at least.
I would agree. I think maybe a close second would probably be the technical shots of like Danny riding around the hotel. Because,
like
like, that-
tracking him, like
'cause-
with in his like little is it a tricycle?
Tricycle,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, which I'm not really familiar, but I don't think that was very common for back then.
That
Having
type
a
of shot?
Yeah, that type of shot.
It's impressive. I really liked how that looked too.
I think it added certainly to Danny's perspective. You know, like it was a low camera shot just following him. It's really like you're Danny, like that's kind of like how
You're getting down to his level.
getting down to his level and like really experiencing things through him. And so then of course when he ends up confronted with the two twins,
Yeah, the twins.
Oh, God.
The Grady
that
twins.
stuff is like woo.
Yeah, and
spooky.
That was very spooky. But I enjoy how it's more of like just storytelling than anything. It isn't solely about like the gore or like it's like all these pop-up scares or something.
And stuff like that. But it's like
yeah,
the threat of violence that spooks up on you.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the tension builds up, right? 'Cause
exactly.
at the start of the movie we have the introduction. Well, first we have let's start with the movie. So that we have the introduction of like that music, that boom, 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 boom. Like that is like really already spooky, especially for that time. I mean, nowadays it's like, whatever, music.
Music.
But like music throughout the film was, I felt like one of those things that helped with it. And then we went to kind of like the eeriness of Danny fainting and Tony, and it just seems something's off about that. And then they're driving to the hotel, and then he learns about the hotel's past with was it Charles?
Interview his the interview with
the interview,
the character Stuart Ullman, like when he's going for the job, like and stuff, when it's just Jack up there before like we see Danny
yes. Sorry,
Wendy, but like the interviewers like asking him questions and stuff, and he's like, I'm ready for this job and what it entails. And he's like, interviewer's like, wait, I kind of have to warn you, like what happens, like you're staying in this huge hotel for months during the winter,
completely
5 months,
with no one but your family. And he was like, I gotta warn you about this cabin fever, because the last caretaker chopped up his family with an axe. But in the beginning, the interviewer says like, Mr. Grady, he killed his wife and his 2 daughters who are 8 and 10. But later on, when we see the Grady twins, they're twins.
Oh.
So whoa, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Huh. But either way, like, certainly it is. I'm talking about like, those elements certainly add to like the tension that's building up.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yeah. And I think and they make it a point. Like they make it a point to say, you're the only ones that are going to be here. Nobody else is going to be here. So it's like, it crosses out just the possibility of anyone else being there. Like, so when you do see other characters popping up, we know that
something's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's something.
It's more than what it's
sinister or something.
Yeah.
No, I definitely love that about the story. It's just kind of like a descent into like madness for Jack.
Yeah.
But also for the family, like, oh my gosh.
The family
Wendy, the character.
Yeah, the whole family dynamic, I think even before they even enter the hotel is already kind of off. Yeah. Because back in their old house, you see Wendy after Danny has his like episode and he, I guess, blacks out, and then they have the doctor come by, or the nurse, whoever, to check on him. Wendy mentions to the nurse that like Jack, when he was drinking, he dislocated Danny's arm, and that's like so he's crazy.
Like, we already know that like Jack's prone to the results of violence.
Problem. Alcohol, and it makes him
violent.
And on the drive there, I think it was also really weird that they're just casually casually talking about cannibalism. Yeah. And just like Jack's whole demeanor.
Oh, and the Donner Party. Yes.
That's what they bring up, the Donner Party, who they were like pioneer settlers who had to resort to cannibalism to survive. So
story was about the father killing or like eating the family. So it's like
it establishes that violence.
It's similar. Here's the father figure.
Yeah, and I think it's so weird, like looking at Jack's demeanor when he's like talking about cannibalism. He's like, "Yeah, see, Wendy, he knows," and it's like
saw it on
already.
TV.
It's already really weird. Like, is he mad or like what is going on?
Yeah, it's strange, but I'm trying to think when like shit hits the fan. I think it's probably right when Jack has that nightmare. Where he's like, which I try not to laugh, but like he had that number, and then so this is the thing. I really agree with what you said earlier, that Jack Nicholson as an actor, I think it took some acting prompts to like really get that genuine expression, because he wakes up, he is like on the floor, like terrified.
He's in
petrified.
tears.
He's in tears. Yeah, and like that, I think that right then and there, it's like, oh my goodness, this is where it's become too much. Like it's now taking over. The only thing that could possibly happen is just the play out of all this tension and stress that's been building, and then of course that's when she starts freaking out about how did Danny get hurt, and it was just pretty
Wendy becomes really confused because she's like, what's going on?
She's like the only one that's like
kind of sane through all of this.
I mean, she's very, a little bit, you can argue she's a little overbearing, but her intentions are good. She's just trying to make sure that everything's okay, and of course Jack's like,
she's just trying to like protect her child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the gold room? Talk about how the hotel.
Should we talk about how the hotel like was started? Like.
Oh yeah, let's get into that before we
When
the foundation of the hotel.
Foundation of all
this. They arrived to the hotel. They're getting this tour from Ullman, and he's saying like, this hotel was built in 1909, and it was established on like Native American burial grounds, and they had to like fight off like Native American attacks like when they were building this. And then in the building, you can see
it's all Native American,
like Native American like artwork and decor, and like there's like pictures of Native Americans, and it's like like
it's definitely
and
like
you see like
spooky. It's like you already know that they're
like there's something wrong.
Right.
Like, Stephen King, like even Pet Sematary, like don't mess with Native American burial grounds.
I haven't read that.
Oh gosh,
is it like about that
I watched the movie, but
you watched
the Pet Sematary. Yeah, it's the Pet Sematary that people started burying their animals and stuff like on this Native American burial ground, and like animals start to come. That's a whole nother thing.
Oh,
that's a whole other Stephen King thing.
I mean, on burial grounds, that just makes anyone uncomfortable, right? Like you're burying on, or you're building anything,
so you're building
on top of where people
of like blood.
Died.
So
not only that, but it's like you're making money. Like this is a hotel. Like you're making money off of like what used to be like a sacred
and like
place.
Also,
right.
Like, American history of like Native American like genocide, like
just not a good, not a good thing at all to have anything on. But we already know that the hotel off the bat is spooky, and then we start getting kind of like hinted at that the hotel itself has The Shining, because it has these spooky things that are happening. Like
well, even before that, we're given a little like tip into that through when we see what's his name, Danny talking to
Dick Halloran,
talking to the chef. Like he kind of warns Danny.
He's like, stay out of room 237,
especially
so we know the hotel's bad.
Yeah, and he's saying like there can be some bad things and there can be some good things and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
of course they didn't get the good things.
Yeah,
right.
No one got that. But in Danny, like in the visions when he was at his house, like you see like flashes of the twins, and you see like the shot of the blood coming out of the elevator.
He already saw
the
hotel.
Something's up.
However, he couldn't remember it.
Yeah,
that's right.
When he's talking to the nurse, he's like, Tony shows me things, which. Tony is like
small red flag there, like what?
Tony is actually like this weird like telepathic type of shining. Is this what they call it?
But it's like I say person form because it's imaginary, but it's like a little boy in his mouth, which is like that's just
in his mouth, and like
that's already kind of crazy.
It's already crazy.
If you saying that out loud,
I mean,
it's
it
like,
is a kid, so you're kind of like, okay. I think that's why they dismiss it, but like. Even if you like read that on paper, you would have been like,
huh?
What?
Yeah. And I think the nurse was, after talking to Wendy, she was like, okay. She was whoa.
Well, she initially was okay with everything. She's like, oh, your son will be fine. I don't think it's going to happen again. And then there goes Wendy talking about all the past, like, oh yeah, Jack, like he abused the kid one time. And she's like, huh? Like I should be worried. But no, so the gold room. So like where I'm getting at is
yes.
I think the hotel is almost a character in itself in this film because it starts with, at least for me, when I realized it was like in the gold room where he starts talking to Lloyd, like he's like, oh, Mr. Torrance, like this here, have a drink, like just inviting him and whatever, and really kind of warming up to Jack.
Yeah, and Jack was just very comfortable with him.
Yes, and it was like an escape. So it was very appealing for Jack to constantly now depend on the hotel for his compass, like his moral compass and everything. And then we fast forward to like the party, right? Or actually before we do that, the whole thing about like how Danny was like strangled by that woman.
Yes,
Wendy was talking
the
about
woman in 237.
Yes, in 237, and then he goes to investigate, which, oh my God, he's very like intrigued with this woman, and I was like oh my God, he's
supposed to be like this like beautiful young
woman. Like this is too much. But then she turns into
this old
rotting like corpse of an old woman, and she starts laughing, and that is just like, that's like the hotel, like the hotel has a power.
That is his character.
He's intrigued, but then it's like, it's an evil force. Like
exactly, it's just sinister. Like there's no method behind the hotel or whatever.
Yeah,
and then finally he talks to Charles Grady, and by this time, like somehow, like he's drunk because like you gotta, like this is all imaginary. Yeah, I'm assuming because there's not actually drinks. They took the drinks away. There's not actually a party. There's no one there. What are you gonna say?
Philip Stone. I think, is Charles Grady the one that killed his family, and then Delbert Grady was the waiter, I think.
Oh wait, isn't Charles Grady the? Oh, am I mistaken?
I think so.
I
don't.
Either way, where I was getting to that is that character,
Jack is talking to what he now like finds out is the old caretaker.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And like he's telling him what to do. He's saying you must correct your family, and by correct he means like chop him
kill
up,
him.
Yeah. We're going to stop him from doing his duty.
Yeah,
exactly.
Being the caretaker. Yeah, I think it's Delbert Grady. That
was
Delbert
Grady, and I think Charles Grady was the man in the 70s who killed his family. But this goes into like a whole nother thing that I can talk about later. Because I watched a few videos on YouTube just because I was interested yesterday about it.
Yeah.
And
what'd you find?
I think it was the first one I watched, or the video is titled "The Shining Ending Explained," and it's from The Take, but it talks about like Delbert Grady and Charles Grady, and then Jack Torrance, and then the photograph in the end where it zooms in and you see a man who looks like Jack Nicholson in a photo, and it's marked from 1921, like the setting of the party, and it goes into like talks about the theory or like whether like Jack Torrance is like a reincarnation of like an old caretaker who's like constantly being brought back to the hotel to be the caretaker, as in like
that's kind of crazy.
Delbert Grady says you've always been the caretaker. Like, is Jack being brought back? Like, is Delbert Grady brought back as Charles Grady to come back as a caretaker and murder his family? Like, is that it? Or was it because like Jack came and like was somehow perfect for the house? Was he like established and like into that photo? Like, was he put in that photo once he died? Like, and
I don't know.
It
begs continue? The question of, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I thought when I saw the ending, I thought, oh, he, like, somehow the hotel, like, when he was at those parties and everything, like, he somehow took a picture, but he's dressed up in a suit.
He's in the
he
suit,
doesn't look like
yeah, because when you notice
he
when
dies.
he walks, when he walks in to the room, like when he changes from like decades, like it's natural for him. He doesn't think, oh, something's wrong, like I'm in the 20s, as because this is the 1980s. He's natural. He goes up to Lloyd, he has a regular conversation, like, was he here before?
And that would make sense because I can't recall exactly when, but I know that Jack said, like, out loud.
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, he's like, I don't know what
like
it is, but like, I just feel so comfortable here.
Yeah,
like I feel like I've been here. And he said, said, like, it's so weird. It's like more than deja vu because he said, like, every time I turned the hallway, I knew what it was going to look like.
That is true.
Which feeds even more to that theory, which is
whenever
crazy.
He's talking to Danny, or he might have been talking to Wendy, but he says, like, I want to stay here, forever.
Forever. Yeah, it was Danny.
Yeah, so probably because he is trapped there forever.
Yeah. Ooh.
Wow.
But that's, like, one part of the theme, because there's many different, like, things you can take away from this movie.
Right.
Definitely.
So, like,
I think that's eerily spooky, and that's so fitting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, that's what I think now. Like, ooh.
Yeah, it's
begs the question. Like, he's always had it in him.
Yeah,
he's always.
That's what I think. I think he always has.
He's already, like,
he's always been that
a very, like, angry, violent man.
Exactly.
Like, when he went to that interview, like, he was basically prepped for this hotel and its duties.
So if we think about this, I mean, it's not necessarily like a loop, but the history was trying to repeat itself.
Yeah.
Like, if something didn't intervene, he would have most certainly chopped up Wendy and Danny. But it was because of the chef who, got the axe, got the chop.
Oh, God.
Got the short end of the stick.
Got the short end of the stick. He, like, really prevented from it repeating again. Because he was in touch.
If you think about it,
was that enough for the hotel? Because if you think, like, the hotel could be a living entity,
that's right.
but is it because of
that's crazy.
The Native
that's
American
a whole other thing.
Ground?
Whoa.
Like, is it because of, like, the blood, the blood sacrifice? Like, the blood taken from the Native Americans. Like, does the hotel become this living creature, which maybe why it has a shining that needs, like, a blood sacrifice, which is why from the establishment, like, to Grady
with the blood.
Do you think? Okay, here's another, like, kind of theory. Do you think that the people, the guy that interviewed Jack for the part, for him to be the caretaker, do you think that he knows that there's something, like, he obviously knew that there's stuff in the past that have happened, and he was the one that told Jack about the story about this man, the old caretaker who chopped up his family. Do you think deep down, like, he knows, like, oh, we need to hire someone every like, winter, someone, like, from the outside to come in and to, like, deal with this, like, to get it done. Then when they come back for the spring, the hotel can run
smooth.
Exactly.
No, probably. No,
that's crazy.
I think that's probably what I'm sure he's like, well, let's get someone outside of the hotel workforce and have, no offense, them be the sacrifice and
that's what I'm getting
and
at.
The bearer of all this. Yeah, that's a good theory.
It's crazy.
I think that's probably what it sounds like.
But maybe he doesn't know, because, like, the hotel doesn't seem like people stay in it from, like, spring to winter, like, and the hotel really doesn't show its, like, true nature until, like, people are alone.
Well, I think
so. Is that it? Like, does he know that's what's going on, or does he think people are just weird and it's not
I
the
think
hotel's fault.
I think that the cabin fever could possibly be a cover for the whole reason why that happened, like why the old caretaker killed his family.
Well, this doesn't happen like every year, right? Because the whole initial story of Charles Grady or whatever, like that happened in a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is a reoccurring thing every year. I think. So then I don't know how much the guy is aware, but
picks like whenever like those
we do know
come back.
Like what you were saying before, the chef is definitely aware of at least something very wrong with the hotel.
Right.
And I think the person that actually saved the family is Danny, because if it wasn't for Danny being able to connect with the chef, he wouldn't have gone down there.
Yeah.
I don't think.
That is true. That is a good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether Danny intentionally knew that or not, or did that or not, I think because of the established bond that the chef and Danny had.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, dang.
I know.
That sucks for him, man.
That's wow.
He makes all this effort to go there, and then
Yeah, he's calling them,
like,
calling
"Hello?"
the police station, making sure they're like
then
radioing in and stuff. And whenever they don't hear anything back, he's like, well, it's my duty to like buy a plane ticket from Florida to like Colorado
Right.
and drive up in this like huge snowstorm, which I can't imagine because Texas ain't got snow.
Texas ain't got no snow. Oh, something I want to point out. This is like kind of just extra.
Yeah.
There's some continuity stuff that I saw. If you notice, I had to read this part up, but I did notice something else. The bat that Wendy strikes Jack with,
Yeah.
it's made out of rubber. So like when she hits him on the head, it actually like if you freeze a frame, it like actually bends.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Cause like
Couldn't.
I was like, there's no way that
Yeah.
she
hit him
like
in there
actually
with
hit
a
him
bat.
with the freaking
Yeah.
bat. That would have like actually hurt. And then the other thing was on the door after he chops it.
The door
like,
panels?
The door panel. He's like,
Okay, I
"Here's
heard about
Johnny."
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He turns around and like the camera changes, and
It's like
both of the panels are
Yeah,
out.
I noticed that when I was watching it. I was like, did he chop both panels?
About that scene, how many freaking doors did they have to use? Because
Oh
I
my
know that
God.
they had to do that multiple
Yes.
times. And they actually, I don't know, I can't tell you the number, but I do know that with that scene, they had made like a weaker door so it would be easier for Nicholson to like chop it down. However, apparently he was like a volunteer firefighter or something. So like he was able to destroy the door like too quick. So they had to make a stronger
Jack
door.
Nicholson?
Yes, Jack
I mean,
Nicholson.
he had a good grip on that
Jeez.
axe and everything. He was like,
He was swinging.
He was
swinging.
Oh my God.
So,
and I
Poor Shelley.
But when that's exactly she's having to like that's when I see that scene, that's immediately what I thought of too. Like, oh gosh, poor Shelley. Like she's having
she's on
to
the other side of that. Like even if you're acting,
Yeah.
like that is like terrifying.
Yeah,
to have someone like
in
banging down that door.
back to scene footage, you see like Kubrick kind of like yelling at her and stuff about like lines like.
I think
Like,
well
saying,
that was
like, whenever
throughout the
you're,
film.
like, yeah.
Right.
Whenever like he's screaming and you jump every time, it doesn't look like natural. And she's like, but that's like that's what I'm doing.
Sorry that I'm
naturally."
not expecting a axe to
It
come
was,
my
like,
way.
genuinely scaring her, so she would like jump each time. She had to like change it up.
Wow. Oh. But I saw that too. I saw that like that little goof
Well, oof. Yeah.
of where the two panel continuity. Where did that?
Continuity.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
the beginning, this isn't continuity, but like it's like the thing, the shadow of the helicopter.
Oh yeah. Which by the
you
way,
noticed
like, I
that.
noticed that too. I was like, yeah, that was kind of dangerous. No,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
helicopter got
robust
pretty low.
that car.
I mean, it was a good shot. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was. I thought it was pretty. It really, I think it deceives you, right? Because you're looking at this beautiful land,
Yeah.
this beautiful like Colorado that they're at. I mean, it definitely sets up for like the happy, like everything's okay beginning, and then it, of course, all
Well, except for the music. The music is already kind of eerie.
Except for the music.
Yeah.
And the scoring itself is like a whole big thing because it's not like a classical, like, scary movie, but it's like a lot of just like noise that makes you uncomfortable.
Loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like piercing noise. Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the use of 3:4 aspect ratio? Because like by that point they would have had widescreen, right? I think so.
We need to look into that.
I think
don't know.
Yeah, let's look that up. But so I started thinking about that because I was like,
this didn't come up to me, but it's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to like. I obviously it's a choice probably by Stanley Kubrick, but I think it's to probably resemble like claustrophobic. Like it feels like.
Oh, like you're stuck too.
You're stuck too because as you're watching it, it's like this is all happening in like a small area. Yet they're in this huge, like the opening shot is expansive, like it's huge mountains.
You're right.
They're in this huge hotel, and they have everywhere to go. But at the same time,
it doesn't feel like that.
It feels like they're trapped and that they're.
Wait, what was
stuck.
That is very neat.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So did you look it up? Did you see that if it was?
Yeah, it was invented. Well, I looked up when widescreen was invented, and it says 1930.
Okay, so then definitely.
So then that definitely could be another little
artistic take that Kubrick took.
To put the audience in like a little.
I'm
little
assuming
box
that's what he did
with everyone else.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally missed what you said about. I was looking.
Oh no, it's fine. I just said that basically that the aspect ratio, the 3:4, it was like a square when we were watching it. Like it made me feel a little bit claustrophobic as opposed to like cinematic widescreen.
Like he filmed like an 18 millimeter lens.
I'm not entirely sure.
But like he filmed that for everything. Like, and obviously like whenever you use that type of lens and like you get close-ups on like actors' faces, it kind of like distorts their faces, and that's into another thing, which is another video that I watched.
I think I know
that was called.
I think I know where you're gonna go.
Is this another conspiracy?
No, it's just explaining stuff like why The Shining is terrifying, and that's from Super Eye Patch Wolf on YouTube. Also, like
shout out to Super Eye Patch Wolf.
Like the disheveled looks of the actors, like Shelley Duvall and like Jack Nicholson, because in like other scary movies, like you have like these like outrageously like like beautiful actors and stuff like that, Hollywood and stuff. So it kind of takes like the realism for like regular people when watching those type of movies, like like all these like gorgeous freaking people end up in this one place, but like with like Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson, obviously they're pretty people, but they have like with like the hair and stuff and like their looks, it was more real and like talking about
you could definitely transport yourself into
with like 18 millimeter lenses. It also adds to like the distortion because it
I didn't think about that.
Like focal length and all that.
Focal length.
I did see so Jack, like speaking of faces, his face, I forget what scene it was, but he was like looking down, like his chin down and like
when he
eyes
was
up.
in the
like a Pennywise weird looking smile and stuff.
When, like in the beginning kind of when like Wendy and Danny are like running outside and he's just like looking out the window.
Oh yeah, out the window and he's just like smiling.
Like, staring at them.
Creepy.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I know you said before like everything didn't start to hit the fan until he did have that nightmare and everything. However, before that, didn't he yell at Wendy? He's like, get the out of my get out of the lounge. Like when I'm in here, don't bother me.
She literally just came up and was like, hey, like later on I was gonna bring you some food to eat.
And I don't
hope you're doing well in here, and hopefully like if you want, like I can read some stuff. And he's like, get out of here and make me lose my focus. And and I was like,
and my question is like, it was that just normal for them? Like, because she seemed, she was like, okay, or was that out of character? Like, was that Jack being Jack, or was it the hotel? I mean, already
getting to him. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. When I was saying about like when everything like went crazy after his dream, I think that's when it started, like everything started to play into action. But you bring
with Danny as well. So,
Danny as well, and you bring a good point that has she always been tolerating this, or like is it the hotel? Something that also was really creepy.
What?
I was like, oh my gosh, was when she goes and she like checks what he's been writing this entire time, and like you see that shot of like her looking over the typewriter, and she picks up the paper, and all it says is "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy."
Yeah,
and then like over
that repetition
and over and over,
and in different like formats almost.
Yes, but what's scary is it's like that's what he's been doing for months already.
Yeah.
So I mean that if I was in her shoes, I'd be like, has he been crazy since like we got here?
Like, yeah.
Well, that's where I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
And you think that
how long has he been losing his marbles?
Right.
Because
losing his marbles.
Because it's strange. Because I mean, as you know, as the audience, we're looking in and we're barely meeting these people. However, like, are we to assume that he's always been like kind of, you know, aggressive and violent already?
Right.
So it, you know,
because he has a past of like violence. Like he literally dislocated Danny's shoulder when he was young.
Yeah.
And
so how much of the hotel like influenced him,
or was
you
that,
know, like how
was that Jack all along?
Exactly.
Right.
Because he was like made for the hotel.
Yeah.
This is why I think that this movie is just a classic, right? Okay. I think it really, like, no matter what time you've seen this is how old? I don't even know how old this movie is, but
it was from the year 1980. So do your math.
It's roughly 40 years old, right?
To be 40 years old.
It's 39 right now.
So like with that said, it's like it was still enjoyable. It was still creepy. It was still like, and going back to what you were saying,
definitely,
like, it really told the story. So that's why I think this movie. That's why I think this is a huge timeless popular movie.
I mean, and also like another question is like how much of Stephen King is in the movie, because you know, like, can we really credit Kubrick completely for this story?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely look at it in terms of like, okay, so this wasn't Kubrick's story, right? Because this is all Stephen King. However, it seems like Kubrick changed a lot of stuff, and the way that it was told and the way that it was like shown visually
was him.
Like, was really Kubrick.
First of all, that hotel, that's not the real hotel. That's in Colorado. Like, it was a different. They used a different hotel because later on,
I spook. Sorry, I had to.
Oh my god! Later on in like the 90s, they like redid, like they made a television like miniseries where they filmed in the real hotel, and in that one, it's a lot like more closed in, so it's not as spooky as The Shining, where it's like this huge hotel where like, compared to these like people like
interesting
that are alone, like it makes it more spooky.
Makes you feel very small.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, but it goes back to
you feel very alone.
What I was going back to.
So that's like a visual thing that's different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But going back to what I was saying, like, you know, I felt claustrophobic, even though it was such a huge
place. Exactly.
Place. Yeah.
And then we can talk about the maze. Yeah. The maze.
Oh yeah.
Is like crazy.
Which like what kind of hotel or like
what
attraction?
That's what I'm getting at.
Go get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, after all, that was like how they outsmarted Jack. How they, I don't want to say outsmarted the hotel, but low key.
Well,
but that's how they, Wendy and Danny.
Wendy and Danny kind of explored. I think Wendy and Danny explored more than Jack.
Was shown.
Because Wendy, she had wanted to, like, she kept telling Jack, like, oh, let's go on a walk or something. And he really just wanted to stay inside and write. So do you think, like, that it helped. I think it definitely helped Danny in that case that he was more aware of the surroundings. But then again, Jack says like, I feel like I know this place, like I can turn a corner. So like he didn't have to. Is that why you think he was like whatever?
I think he was used to the hotel, and I think
and also
him
following
right
footsteps.
Well, yeah. But like I'm just saying, like I think Jack the character was like definitely familiar with the hotel because the hotel had so much power over him. But as soon as he stepped out, that's where like he started to fall apart, right? And so you can like.
Oh, okay, that's a good point.
Visually seeing him like yes, it's cold, but he's like struggling and trying to like.
He couldn't do it by himself.
He couldn't do it by himself. He's like,
oh my gosh, that is a good point.
And then Danny, thank God he was so smart. He tricked Jack, his father, by retracing his steps. Which, if you look at how messed up is that? Like you're running away from your own parent who's trying to kill you.
Yeah, terrifying.
That's crazy. But he like tricks him. And then, of course, that's how Jack dies. He gets trapped out there.
Yeah, frozen.
He gets trapped, and then
which is also different from the Stephen King's book, because in the book, the boiler in the basement blows up, so the hotel burns, versus like Kubrick's, the hotel like freezes over in the snow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huh. Yeah. So there's a huge difference between like warmth and depth and cold. And cold.
I was going to say,
burning, freezing.
I'm not sure, but wasn't it, so when Jack is talking to the old caretaker, he mentions that like his daughter tried to burn the place down, didn't he?
Yeah, she found some matches. Yeah. And that's because, and then after that, he corrected her. Yeah. Oy. And, the woman that we see in the bathtub, was that his wife? I didn't think about that, but
because I mean, I'm just trying to, I'm trying to make sense of like these characters that we see. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I mean, that could be a possibility. That could have been her, I think.
Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah. That sounds interesting.
And like I'm like trying to compare like their ages. Like I think it would make sense because she was like an older lady, and then when we see him meet up with Jack at the ball in the gold room, he's also kind of aged. He's like this old bald guy. Was there anything that you guys saw that like really stuck out to you though?
Well, probably shouldn't talk about this, but other than that one scene.
Oh, with the
bear.
Okay, so that's a whole nother thing that I got into. I watched.
You found that? You found something about it.
What does it mean? Oh my goodness.
Okay, when I first saw this, I don't remember. I didn't remember this scene at all. Yeah.
So another video I watched was The Shining, Danny's ordeal and the bear costume man from I think it's Collative Learning, COLLATIVE, and then learning. It's like,
shout out.
I think it is in the book, but I've forgotten what the video said. So sorry if I'm wrong, but like in the book, like it's pretty intense themes because, when Kubrick put it in the movie, he kind of like removed the whole like background story and like all the details. Well, yeah. So it didn't exactly make sense, and that was like on his part. But like in the book, I think it's like there's like this relationship between Jack the father and Danny, because there's a whole bunch of like little things throughout the movie, like when Danny is talking to the doctor and he's laying on the bed, behind him you see a bear face, like a pillow that's bear behind him, and that's when Danny's talking about Tony is the little boy that lives in my mouth, and the doctor asks, where does Tony go when he's not there, and he says he goes into my stomach and stuff like that. And like that scene, like Danny has like afterwards, like Danny has like his pants off on the bed, and like his hands are like over like on his like stomach, and there's so many things like in Danny's room, like at the hotel, like whenever they're getting the tour and Jack takes a look, a peek in there, there's like this portrait of like two bears. One's like sitting, one's standing. And then in another part of their hotel room, there's a portrait of like two naked children, like the bear picture, one sitting, one standing.
Wow.
And there's like this whole thing
gosh.
where like, because in the book, like the bear costume was like a dog, but they changed it in the movie to the bear and stuff. And like, obviously the bear is having this
That's
like
messed up
relationship with one of the
to put it lightly. Oh, gosh.
caretakers. Yeah, it's like intense.
That is a whole other thing you could unpack.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well-
now I really need to look at the novel and figure out what else is in there.
Yeah, and check out that video.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness.
It's a whole thing. When I watched it, I was like,
Wow.
Whoa. Also, you could.
So,
So the scene where Jack is talking to Danny, like when Danny comes into the room
to get his toys.
Yeah, and like he sees Jack, like, and he's like, "Come here," and then he's like talking to him or whatever.
On his lap and everything.
They both are like Danny is like, "Yeah, like I'm fine, like I like it," and Jack, I think they both know like deep down what the other person is like thinking. I guess,
or
like
just like.
I think Danny knows Jack's intentions already. So he's just trying to play it off like, yeah, like
Well, you gotta
I'm
also
good.
think like beyond like I don't even know what the bear thing.
Yeah,
but
that's-
beyond,
yeah, that's wild.
beyond that.
Yeah.
But like he did hurt him, so like it's for like a kid that's probably traumatic. Like
Definitely. And that's why I think like he's just trying, like he knows his true intentions, so that's why he's trying to like not alarm him in any way. Like so that's why he says like, yeah, I like it here. You know what I mean?
That's why. And then of course Wendy freaks out. You know, because
Whatever
she's like,
she sees,
she's like, you did this to him. I can't believe you. And then, actually, we realize that Jack genuinely feels a little bit remorse about, well, a little bit, I say, because he goes to the gold room and
Does
he talks. Well, he talks.
I mean,
about
does
it,
he?
But then of course he talks about. He's like, well, then the little.
Yeah. Does he?
You know.
I think it's more of like he doesn't like to be blamed for it.
Yeah.
I think it's more of
'Cause,
like
his past
he's
actions. Like,
exactly.
he's
I
like,
think
I heard him once, but like, and stuff like that.
Maybe it's
And
like
then
he
he's,
doesn't want to
trying to get
acknowledge
better.
what he's
exactly.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, and that's why when he starts like drinking after that whole
Which
debacle.
again, drinking. when
Well,
it's like
yeah.
there's not really any drinking
yeah.
because there's no alcohol. But it's well,
'Cause he's-
I don't think there is. I think the drinking resembles him drinking the Kool-Aid of the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Influence.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there can also be like another theme of like just alcoholism
Oh, for sure. But
and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
That would make sense.
Yeah, like his addiction,
I think
like,
that was the hotel's
domestic.
way of
abuse.
exploiting Jack.
For sure. That's
Because
how they
he knew
brought him
that
in.
He knew the alcohol would be his
Yeah.
weakness.
Yeah, and before Lloyd pops up, right before that, he says like, I would give my soul for a drink. And then Lloyd pops up. I thought that was that's something that I like
yep,
saw,
see?
and that stuck out to me.
Hotel knows.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Thank you, that's mine."
They were like, the hotel was like, that's my cue.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of wrap it up, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to expect too much because you already saw this, and at first I was like, it's okay, I like it, and some of it, like as I was watching it, I was like, this is not too much. But I think what excited me is thinking about it, and then you start to realize, there is so much in this movie, like all the little intertwines of like things.
I
And then
agree.
I can't even imagine like the book would be. So like now I'm intrigued to like read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And make
definitely.
connections,
Like
yeah.
towards the end of this movie, like I definitely am like so interested in just the whole this whole like world now. You know,
Yeah.
like what I'm like left with more questions for sure than answers, but I'm like really, really intrigued.
Yeah.
Things like, that's like kind of like the beauty of it. Like it leaves you with more questions because it ends kind of quickly. Like you see like things are picking up, like he's like chasing Danny, but then Danny gets out, they get in the snow car thing,
Right.
and they drive off. You see Jack frozen to death, and then it zooms in on that picture
On the picture, yeah.
with Jack, and then it's done. And then you're like, what happened?
Which is good
What's
because as a
going on?
movie,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of how a movie should be done is like instead of just giving you everything, it makes you like want to know what everything, and then you
Definitely
and then
pulls
you-
in your audience for sure.
People create all these theories and stuff and question over time, and it
absolutely. So I think Kubrick did obviously a wonderful job with this. Maybe Stephen King didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the stuff, and maybe some of his directing techniques were certainly harsh and questionable. But the performances on its own, like those were really good by Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and
Danny Lloyd.
Danny Lloyd, all of those. Like even the chef.
Oh yeah.
Everyone in this movie,
Yeah.
like I think it
Scatman
really like added
brothers.
to the whole story.
Yeah.
What happened? So what happens to his body? Like that's my question. Like
I don't know.
did they find
in
it?
the
Imagine-
spring, like how they did with the family. Like,
Oh
maybe
my
that's
god.
just-
I don't know. Well, yeah, they're gonna have to imagine coming back to the hotel and having to like.
Well,
Again,
then
seeing it again.
there's the Dr. Sleep is coming out.
Yes. So Doctor Sleep.
The second-
When is it coming out?
It comes out November 8th of this year. I don't think it's any of the same actors though.
Oh no, I know. Ian
and it's-
McGregor
and,
is-
Ewan McGregor, he's Danny Torrance. Oh, well, and apparently Dick Halloran, that character is coming back. played
Oh.
by
Interesting.
Carl Lumbly?
And it's directed by Mike Flanagan, and it's basically about Danny's character, Danny, the boy. After years, he comes back to the hotel with this little girl that he also meets, that he finds out also has this ability like he does. So that's where this story's.
We definitely have to review that when it comes out, because maybe we'll find some answers and stuff like that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So, what would you rate it?
I'd rate it a full bag of popcorn.
Full bag of popcorn.
Full bag of popcorn.
Take a whole bucket.
And I didn't even. I'm so intrigued in this movie that I don't even realize I finished all of it.
You finished it and you're wanting more.
Exactly.
That's exactly how I
Going
feel.
for seconds.
Yeah. Well, once we watch Dr. Sleep, certainly go for seconds. But I certainly agree. I ate all that popcorn up. I ate it all up. And I didn't even realize I finished it. And by the time I did, I was like, crap, I wanted more.
Exactly.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
And I think that's a really good way to leave your audience.
Yes. How do you feel about it, Kat? Because I know you haven't seen
Yeah.
the movie, so I'm very interested.
I thought it was amazing. And I thought, like, the way we watched it was, like, perfect. Like, dark room
Oh, yes.
on a DVD. Like,
No
'cause
interruptions.
earlier, I noticed it was on, like, TV, and I put it on. But then you had commercials and all
Yeah.
of this. And
Takes
that
you out of the
room's-
story.
Yeah, it takes you out of it. So watching it, like, dark room, full on, it was perfect.
That's
I
how you
really
do
like
it.
this movie. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
All right.
I guess that's it for episode 2.
That's our podcast.
That's our podcast. Stick around next time. We're going to be probably reviewing
The Joker.
The Joker. But yeah, bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Adios.